Hi everyone, we're going to look at how society changed and the changes that occurred during the 1800s going into the 1900s. Our objectives and standards to recognize the importance of inventions during the time period, explain the improvement in medical science, analyze the rise of science during the time period, and summarize the growth of entertainment. Take a moment there to read over the standards, please. And our desired result, what changes and improvements occurred. So you may have heard this name before, but Thomas Edison, he had over 1,000 inventions. Some of the most important included the light bulb and the phonograph, and he had also established a research laboratory in Menlo Park, New Jersey. And there he is on the right-hand side there. The bottom picture, some examples of his designs for light bulbs, and then the top picture is the phonograph, which is like an early record player or CD player. You could actually record your voice on it as well. Alexander Graham Bell, he was an American school teacher for the deaf. He is actually responsible for inventing the telephone. That is him sitting there at the desk talking into the telephone. Guglielmo Marconi, he was an Italian inventor who used electromagnetic waves to invent the first radio in 1895, and the first radios were actually used by ships at sea to communicate or send for distress. The automobile industry. Now, in the 1880s, German inventors created a gasoline-powered engine for a new form of transportation, which they called the automobile. An American mechanic used the idea to create a cheaper version of the automobile, and his name was Henry Ford. He also used an assembly line, or laborers putting the parts of an automobile in specialized groups together. The top picture there, that's Henry Ford with, I believe, his wife riding in one of his earliest inventions, one of his earliest automobile models. And then the bottom picture there shows you what an assembly line was like. And so you can see a bunch of workers working together to, put bolts on a wheel or whatever the case may be, and then, you assemble the object in a quicker pace. The Wright Brothers. American brothers Wilbur and Orville Wright were bicycle mechanics, actually. And in 1903, they are responsible for a gasoline-powered flying machine, which you'll see there in the other picture. Medical advances. In the middle of the 1800s, Louis Pasteur discovered tiny organisms he called bacteria. And he learned that bacteria can cause diseases, and he learned how to kill it. In 1865, British surgeon Joseph Lister ordered his medical equipment to be cleaned to prevent diseases and infections. Obviously, this helped reduce deaths and diseases. And the medical field also developed vaccines for certain diseases, along with cities becoming cleaner with plumbing and sewer systems. Some other advances in science. Charles Darwin wanted to know why the Earth was covered with different species. In 1859, he published his theory of evolution, which he stated that all life on Earth developed from earlier living things millions of years ago, including humans. He also stated that natural selection provided evidence of weak and strong creatures, that only the strong will survive, and things like that. Genetics. An Austrian monk, Gregor Mendel, discovered how traits are passed from generation to generation, such as why do you have blue eyes or brown hair. He discovered that, that might come from your mother or your father, and then from their parents and things like that. So he, why some people have bigger noses, some people have smaller noses, or bigger ears or smaller ears, short, tall, those types of things. So he was studying how those traits are passed from generation to generation. Now, a lot of his work was in the middle of the 1800s, but it will not become widely more known until the 1900s. There will be advances in chemistry. In 1803, British chemist John Dalton believes that all matter is made up of tiny particles known as atoms. In 1869, Russian chemist Dmitry Mendeleev he creates a chart, which you'll see there, and you may have talked about this in the other classes. He creates a chart to organize these elements into the periodic table. Now, chemistry will continue to grow. The husband and wife team of Pierre and Marie Curie worked in chemistry in France, and in 1898, Marie will come up with the name for a powerful energy she discovers while working in chemistry that's known as radioactivity. Other physicists who continued to work to explore the world of atoms were Ernest Rutherford, and you may know this name, but Albert Einstein. Psychology, another science that had been around for hundreds of years, but really kind of comes to light in the 1800s, was psychology. Psychology is the study of the human brain and the behaviors of living creatures. Two big psychologists during this time period are Ivan Pavlov, a Russian psychologist. He's right there. Very known for a lot of his work in psychology. And this gentleman right here, you may have heard his name before, seen his picture, or Sigmund Freud. Also a very well-known psychologist that comes about in the 1800s, 1900s. And both these gentlemen, as well as others, have a big impact in the study of psychology. And then finally, mass culture entertains. Mass culture is the appeal of different forms of entertainment, such as art and music, to larger audiences. So people began to demand more entertainment in their lives, and as they did this, people over the world began to attend music and sporting events, and they actually also began to enjoy other types of entertainment, such as movies. We begin to see the rise of what they call motion pictures. They are silent movies at this time, but we'll have motion pictures that come about, and people will begin enjoying them. So that's also how people were enjoying their lives as well. All right, so our closure here for today. What changes and improvements occurred during this time? So think about science, medicine, inventions, entertainment, all those types of things. How did some of these different things change and improve society during the 1800s? All right, so I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening, and I will talk to you guys soon.